All right. Thank you, everybody, for showing up tonight. I'm so excited to be here with Amanda Wright of A Right Fit. Yes, so excited. So we're on video. If you guys are coming in, we'll just make sure to mute you as you come in. And you guys also have the opportunity to ask questions. If you go in the chat box at the bottom, you can type anything in, and we can answer that as we go along. So the reason for this video, I'm going to do a brief introduction, is this is for the Better Method. So as part of kind of what we're doing, we're learning about balanced eating. I'm bringing on special guests who are expert in their fields just to give us some perspective on how they became balanced. So Amanda, first, I'm just going to thank you for being here, and then just give us a little intro about you, and let us know what you're all about.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for having me, Camy. I'm so excited, really excited for your girls in the Better Method. They are lucky to have you as a coach. You are a trip, if anything, and I would pay to just be entertained by you. So I'm honored that you have me on here to talk about nutrition. It's one of my loves. I am a certified strength and conditioning specialist, so it's CSCS through the NSCA, and I'm certified in nutrition through the AFPEA and soon to be precision nutrition. I haven't quite finished that yet, but I am also a health coach. My niche is kind of fit and faith-based, so I'm a women's health coach. What I call, I teach women to grow stronger in body and wiser in mindset, all by living more surrendered to God. So I get the privilege of hosting women just like you do, and really just teaching about, my program is about 6 months long. It's really about just finding who you are, finding your purpose through your health and your fitness and what that can go and help you do in your life. It's really not about looking a certain way or looking the part or, fitting into a certain size. It's about, what do you believe about yourself? What will your health go and allow you to do in this world, and the contribution that you were born to do. So I, of course, am also married. So I live in Northern California. My husband is a corporate guy. So I have this whole, I'm like the free-spirited entrepreneur, and he's like corporate ladder. And we just balance each other that way. We've been married almost 2 years. And I'm a stepmom to Alyssa. I don't really consider myself a stepmom to her. She's in college. So that doesn't quite count. And then Eden is 4, and she lives with her mom in Japan. So we're avid world travelers. I have a very busy life, and I love what I get to do. I'm very passionate about this platform and, talking about it. So
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Yes. And that's one of the reasons why I love having you on, is because you have such a true mission and a heart to help women and really get past what we look like on the outside and into like why we're doing it. Like every person has a why and has something to contribute. So I love that part of this. And I might have you on again, because the last part of the Better Method is about spirituality and rest and energy and all that kind of stuff. So we won't get into that now, but I know that's a huge part for both of us. You're an expert in that as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So, anytime.
Yes, awesome. So today we're in week 2 of the Better Method. We're talking about more meals, more protein. Like you and I both are the same. We like to keep it simple. And right now we're just talking about, here's where we're at. Most women that I talk to eat maybe 2 meals a day. They skip breakfast. Then they come home and they like binge eat at night because they're starving. So we're kind of just talking about how to start off with more meals and more protein. So first of all, my question, we'll dive deeper into a couple questions, but for you, I know there's probably a time in your life that you weren't balanced, and I know now you're traveling all over the place. So give us an insight in your life on how you stay balanced currently, and then take it back for us and tell us, how did you even get to be balanced? Like if they're at step.
Yeah, that's such a good question, because I think it's like this cliche term, balanced eating, just eat balance. Like you're supposed to know what that is intuitively. And it's really not as complicated as we make it, but I do think it's complex in some ways. So to me, balanced eating for me has kind of 3 factors that are really important. One, it needs to be balanced. The quality of my food needs to help my body function optimally. Like you said, I travel 100 nights a year. We were just in a hotel room for 30 days in a row. And that can wreak havoc on your body if you're not consciously and putting concerted effort into getting nutrients. So my plate graphic that I subscribe, my food program that I coach with. It's called the Nutrient-Based Eating Program. It is not fancy at all. It is not some like, oh my gosh, she's a physioscientist or something. It's kind of simple. It's like, get green vegetables, get colored vegetables, get protein, get a little bit of starchy carb, and a healthy amount of fat. That to me is balance, and that's where you would start. It's not necessarily what you would have at every meal. Eventually, you kind of have to weigh and see. So I believe that you just have to get enough nutrients, that our body is craving the nutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, the protein, real food that can cause satiety and giving us the energy that we need to go and live our lives. So it's not about just living meal to meal where all you think about is food. It's like, no, I need to eat in a way that can support the lifestyle that I have, the purpose that I have. So that's balanced in one way. It also needs to balance with the lifestyle that I lead, right? Or the season that I'm in. So sometimes, like, your ladies are probably gearing up for like a weight loss, push it, build strength. Heck yeah, like go for it, right? So that's a season of like concerted focus for that. Then maybe in the holidays, or maybe in a different season of your life where you have other circumstances going on, you might just be in a maintenance phase. You might be in a phase where you have young kids and you need to eat in a way that just supports that you can function optimally in that season. So we have to give ourselves grace to have seasons where we're like going for it, and then seasons where we maybe back off on the exercise, but we want to maintain, and we don't want to ever yo-yo. Like it's kind of balancing and preventing that yo-yo, the extreme all or nothing mentality that we so often have, because that's kind of the diet mentality that we've all grown up with. And so that's the second way that I need to balance myself now. And also I need to balance my eating for enjoyment. I don't believe that food should ever be punishment. And if all you're eating is protein and vegetables, or egg whites, or like nutrition shakes that you can't stand the taste of, or whatever it is, and you feel like you're punishing yourself, and all you're thinking about is the day that you can stop doing this, you lose all the weight, and then the day after that you're going to go right back to whatever you miss, that's unsustainable, and that doesn't work. And that's what causes the massive fluctuations in our weight that so often we see. People convince themselves they're all or nothing. Like, you have to go all on the diet and then you're all off once you fall off. And that's unfortunate, because it has metabolic consequences, and it's much harder to lose the weight once you gain it back. It gets harder and harder each time we do that. So deprivation is unsustainable to me. You have to eat things that you enjoy. You have to enjoy what you eat. And so half of that's a mindset shift, right? Like, vegetables don't have to be gross. They're gross if you determine that they are. You can actually enjoy a good amount of vegetables, enjoy it for what it is, and then have a little treat after it, and then life is balanced. So that's the third way that I've learned that balancing my eating is really important. Now, like you said, of course, I haven't always been this way. And of course, I still screw up at this often. I still have that all or nothing mentality that I grew up with decades as well. But of course, I'm getting better and better at it. And I give myself permission for that process. But the time that I learned that I was the least balanced is usually shocking, because I looked the most fit. Right. So I did a bikini competition. My coaching philosophy, or my coaching practice, all started. I became certified in nutrition, and I thought, oh, I should do a bikini competition because I need to look the part of someone that you would hire for nutrition consultation. Right. I didn't think my 18% body fat was good enough. I laugh at that now, because I'm pretty sure I'm a little over 18% now. And so I thought I needed to do a bikini competition. So that was a 5-month process for me. And that was very restricted. You do an intense amount of cardio. You basically are in what's called ketosis, where it's very low carbohydrate, and it causes you to lose fat rapidly. The problem with that is, while you are doing that diet and you're exercising so much, you're exhausted all the time. I was in bed at like 8 o'clock every night, and my state of mind was just nothing. I couldn't remember anything. I had nothing to really talk about. I felt like I wasn't contributing well to my friends. All I was talking about was the bikini competition. It was just like this soul-sucking event for me as well. And that's not to say it's been like this for everyone. I've met so many women that did great with their competitions, and that's a part of their calling. That's, they even thrive off that. It wasn't that case for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so losing 20 plus pounds within 5 months and going from, an 18% body fat to like a 12% body fat, that rapidly zapped my energy. It zapped my spirit. And I felt awful. I was just consumed with myself. Well, guess what happened the day after the show, right? After the show, you're like, that happened to be the day that my ex-boyfriend came back into my life, who is now my husband. So I got engaged like a few weeks after that. Hello, cue the alcohol craziness. You gain the weight back so fast. And with that comes such a deep sense of frustration. You feel like you're letting yourself down. But that was really the breaking point that I needed in the spiritual journey that I went through. And I don't regret any of it, but I certainly wasn't getting the balanced nutrition that I needed. Mm-hmm. My nutrition was not meeting my activity. I ate far too less and I exercised far too much. Mm-hmm. And you could tell by my energy, you could tell by my memory, you could tell by my mood, you could tell by all those factors that this is not a sustainable lifestyle diet plan. And I've gone to the lengths to figure out how to remedy that. Like, what does give me energy? What does boost my mood? What does help me sleep? And, works in a lifestyle fashion for my life.
I love everything you said about that, because I had a similar experience where I gained weight and I was like, before I was looking good, but I hated myself. But then I gained 25 pounds and I was like, wow, why was I hating my body back then? Right. So it's a good perspective to have, I think. But I think where my girls are, most of my girls they're trying to wrap their head around this balanced thing. But my problem with it is, like, it's not sexy, right? Like, the girl on the magazine who's shredded, who's probably miserable eating green beans and chicken all day. Yeah. That's sexy, right? That's like, oh, I want to do that. I want to get shredded. I want to get lean or whatever. But what I always say is, are you willing to do what it takes to actually get there?
And stay there.
Yeah. And does it meet your lifestyle, like you said? So let's fit that topic in. So let's say, we're talking about more meals, more protein. I think that's cool. But I also want to talk about your lifestyle, maybe our girls who are listening, but also, like, for me, I love waffles and I love frozen yogurt. So, like, those are my two. But I have a lot of girls who they love wine, or maybe they like savory foods and they really want to have, like, chips and salsa or chips and guacamole or something. So how would you recommend balancing that? How would you put that in a balanced way without overeating and without feeling guilty about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So to me, I'm kind of like an 80-20 rule type of girl, right? So that's hard to measure. And so
what does that mean, real quick? Because some people probably don't know what that even means.
Yeah. So 80% of the time I try to eat, whole, real foods, like nutritious foods, or on plan. Like, if I could show you my screen real quick, I'll show you what my nutrient-based eating plan looks like. This is just one page from a document that I have, one of the many. And I don't know what you could see. Can you see this?
Yeah, we can see it.
Cool. So this is kind of like the general plate graphic, and Precision Nutrition, actually, who I'm getting certified through, has something similar, but they use like hand size and they use portions based on like your size. The bigger your hands are, the more you could eat. Mm-hmm. And that's why men can tend to eat more than women do. So it's like, I try to eat like this about 80% of the time. And you can see the lower quadrants. I have, like, this was bison, colored cauliflower. This is celery sticks and some carrots and maybe a couple sweet potato slices. So this is a moderate amount of things like starchy carbs, the colored fruit or vegetables. You kind of get a variety of colors. You get a variety of textures. You get enough food that, like, volume can sometimes matter, right? But having, a salad base or asparagus or a lot of green vegetables means you can eat more and feel fuller. Like, literally your stomach is going to get fuller just having that. So I eat like this about 80% of the time. So this could mean like 4 out of 5 meals, right? I'll eat like this more. And and I'll get into this in a little bit, but I don't think you have to start necessarily here. If this is nowhere near where you are eating, I recommend that you start with whatever the next best step is. So if you don't eat vegetables like at all during the day, then I recommend getting a vegetable on the plate, getting some protein on the plate, and then keeping the rest of it, and then maybe like water. Like start really small and get really good at that, taking the next best step from where you are right now, and then doing that consistently 80% of the time. So that can mean like 4 out of 5 meals if you eat 5 meals a day. It could mean 2 out of 3 meals if you eat 3 meals a day. It's wherever you are, do it about 80% of the time. Or it can also mean this. It can mean you're going to go 80% of the week eating pretty clean and then having like a night free, right? So like every 5 days, like one day is kind of like a little more relaxed. So you can go 4 days in a row, and on the 5th day, just be a little more relaxed. That can work depending on your personality. So some personalities will go like binge crazy on that one day, like it's a free for all. And I don't know that that necessarily supports a lot of us that suffer from like that diet mentality. So you need to know yourself to know if that's going to work for you, but that could certainly work, say like on a vacation, or if you know your husband has like a company dinner, or you have the work party or whatever it is, and you don't want to have to worry about it, take that approach for that week. Have 4 really clean days, and then on the 5th day, just be more relaxed about it, not going crazy. It could also mean that you do 80-20 with every single meal. So 80% of this plate graphic would have like clean foods on it, like real vegetables, real whole proteins, healthy fats, and then like chocolate. Like it doesn't have to be deprivation city. This is where I feel like you have to just know yourself and know your eating tendencies. And you said you're a waffle person. I'm a pancake person, lady. Like I am all about the pancakes. I think they're siblings, waffles and pancakes.
Yeah, they're related, definitely.
They're definitely related. Yeah. So that to me is how you would go about it. But it's really, really, really important that you know where you are now and know what that next best step is for you. Because I would never want you to put so much pressure on yourself to eat exactly like this and not to be able to sustain it longer than one day. This might be a huge leap for you, and you may not be ready to do that, and your environment might not be conducive to doing this if you have husband and kids and other people. So getting just a vegetable and some protein and like water with every meal might be the place to start for balanced eating for your ladies, wherever they are. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So this is perfect, and it's right in line with what I teach. So I teach the food threesome, which is protein, carbs, and fat at each meal.
Cool.
But I love how you're throwing veggies in there. And I'll be honest, I'm not a veggie lover. I'm not like, and mostly because I don't really know how to prepare them or make them good. So give me some tips. Like, how are you putting in veggies? And I've never seen purple cauliflower. Like, where are you getting these things? And clearly, you live in California too, which when I lived in California, it was amazing. Over here in North Carolina, it's not as, I was spoiled in California. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I hear you. So I think the simple ones that you can always get are like carrots and celery, and even like zucchini and squash, right? So it kind of depends on the meal. I know my girls have the hardest time getting vegetables with breakfast.
Yeah.
So the 2 veggies that I recommend with your eggs, I think I have a picture of this too. Let me see if I do. With your eggs, because eggs are my favorite. My favorite food is pancakes, but eggs are like my favorite healthy food.
Yeah.
So I do egg. Let me show you this one too. I do either 1 whole egg and egg whites like as an omelet, or I do like an egg with like a side of stir fry from like the night before. Yeah. You're allowed to have leftovers for breakfast. I don't know if anyone ever heard of a rule breaker. I don't know if anyone knows.
Yeah.
But you're allowed to have leftovers for breakfast. But so if you don't want to do like a stir fry, like with your eggs, which I think it goes well, it goes for my palate. I think spinach is a really easy one, and mushrooms are really good ones that go with like an omelet, right? If you're an egg fan. If not, you can see up in the upper right-hand corner is this Suja drink. This one's a little expensive. It's an organic one, but I know there are pressed juices that are kind of common now. They're in every grocery store that we have over here. They're in every grocery store I looked at in Colorado. So
well,
I would venture to guess.
Most places have Whole Foods, so you can probably go and get like a juice at any Whole Foods or Earth Fare, any of those kind of places.
Yeah. So that's one option. Good. Look in the frozen section, right? The frozen vegetables are sometimes much more affordable than the fresh ones. So like frozen spinach, you could throw it in a shake. Yeah. That stuff you don't even detect. Even kale, you really don't detect that stuff in your eating. So you kind of, if you are anti-green vegetables, you kind of have to like baby yourself and like cut them up really small, make them bite-sized like I do with my husband and even the kids. Like my husband is the worst. You just hide them. You hide them and you don't see them. You just shove them in your mouth. But I guarantee, like the women that I coach that were not big fans of veggies either, like once they started getting it, even just small amounts, like even carrots, even corn, if you had to start with corn, like, you know, getting as many whole real ones as possible, your body really does feel much better. And they'll tell me, not necessarily during the process, but they'll tell me those weeks where they're like, oh no, I didn't have vegetables the last few days and my energy was just tanked. Yes. You feel a tremendous difference once your body adapts to it. And it's a mindset. You have to make up your mind that like, okay, I'm going to like vegetables. I'm going to like what I eat. I'm going to look not just for the taste. I'm going to look beyond that and how it's going to make me feel, what it's going to do for my body, what it's going to do for my lifestyle. You have to think beyond just the taste in everything. You know, that's why we have to become grown-ups.
Yeah. Well, and usually your body does end up adapting to healthier tastes, right? Like when you first start off, you're probably like craving sugar and you get headaches and you're just like kind of detoxing. But then after a while, you totally notice like, oh my gosh, I need to eat better. I ate a pan of brownies this past week and it wasn't even gluten-free. I don't know what I was doing, but I had brownies and like I ate it and I was like, man, I feel so crappy. Like, is this what people feel like? And it just reminded me of like, this is why I eat healthy. Yeah, brownies seem awesome, but I feel horrible for like the next 4 days because it's just like sitting in my body.
Yeah, I did that too. You were asking about the girls that like red wine or their sugar or their treats and all that too. So I was traveling. We were in LA for a few nights. My husband had 5 dinners, 5 nights in a row. Wow. And these corporate people drank. So literally there was wine at every dinner. And I had probably 1 glass at every dinner. And I felt, I think 2 glasses at least at one. It took me a year to cut back on my binge drinking. I used to be a pretty binge drinker. Like my husband and I together, 5 glasses easily. Yeah. That was like our dating lifestyle. So I went a whole year where I had to like give myself permission to not have to drink the whole bottle or like keep going like it was the last time I was ever going to drink. Like once I made it so it was not a banned food list, that feeling of like, oh, I can have 1 glass and really enjoy it, because you really enjoy, especially with wine, the first glass the most. The second, the third, you don't even like taste it anymore. Yeah. So why are you drinking? Just because it's there. So once you give yourself permission of like, I can just enjoy 1 really good glass and then still enjoy the rest of the night. I can sip it slow. I can, and practice that. Of course, it's habitualized. So you have to give yourself permission to practice and discover that process. The same goes for any food, right? Like you shouldn't deprive yourself of brownies. It's a banned food list, and you have to think you have to eat the whole pan because you're going to give them up tomorrow. Like that doesn't actually work, because you're never going to give them up forever. If you like them, they're embedded in like your memory, and your emotions are kind of attached to it. So if you're like, I can have 1 brownie tonight, and if I want a brownie tomorrow, I'm going to have a brownie tomorrow night. And if I want a brownie the next night, I can have a brownie the next night. But then as you start to feel the body consequences of that, then you're going to be like, oh, I don't even want the brownie tonight. because I'm like, I had it and now I feel like crap. So I'd actually rather have a salad.
Yeah.
And that's how you learn moderation. You have to pay attention to like the tension and the consequences of your eating, but never give yourself, never like, it's really just a perspective. It's giving yourself permission of like, this is okay. I can have this tonight and I can have it tomorrow. And I no longer have to like feel like this is the last time ever to eat all of the pizza, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah. I totally agree. Same thing. I allow myself to have everything now, and now I don't really
have
feel
to have anything.
Yeah. But what I found out is certain foods have like addictive quality. So if I have gluten, my body wants more gluten, but then it feels crappy having the gluten. So it's kind of like a reactive cycle.
Right.
And so that's what happened with my brownies. I like ate some and I was like, those are good. Ate some, those are good. And then well, by the next day there was not many left and I finished them off. And then I was like, yeah, I should have at least got gluten-free because it didn't have that same like physiological response. And I knew when I did it, what the outcome was going to be, right? I was like, I know I'm going to feel crappy when I do this. I was too lazy to go get regular brownies or brownies. I was like, man, this is what I have. But the consequences. Now, in the past, I would have felt so bad and I probably wouldn't have told anybody. And I would have like either went to the gym and worked out like 5 times, when like just extreme, or I would have continued down that binge cycle. So where does that stop? Like, how do we stop that cycle? Because I think probably when you were competing, you were the same way as I used to be like 5-6 years ago. Binge and deprive. But let's say somebody's there right now and they made a mistake and they like finish off a whole bag of chips. What would you say to them?
Well, I kind of got this from Jill Coleman, who we both, she's helped us both with our businesses, of course. She's like the guru on moderation, but it's really about just like the next meal mentality. That's all you have to focus on, is just that next meal. If you can, it's called self-condemnation, right? That feeling of guilt, shame, regret, and then you're feeling it physically, which like exacerbates all of those feelings, and you're just like shaming yourself. And there's so many responses that happen when we feel ashamed of ourselves. It's kind of the mindset of health that's spiritual to me. This is why I incorporate faith into all of my coaching, because I know a lot of this is helped by spiritual growth and your relationship with God. But I believe that just giving yourself that next meal is always where you go. And it's not about next meal I'm going to deprive myself. It's no, next meal I'm going to go back to the balanced eating. It's like, no, I'm not going to fast. I was very tempted. I have to say, after 5 nights in a row of traveling, I was like, maybe I should just do a fast. But I knew in my heart I wasn't fasting for like the right reason. I would have been fasting for the vanity of it, like trying to just lose the weight that I probably put on. I don't know. I didn't weigh myself. I don't really. But what I did was like, no, I'm just going to eat real. I'm going to go back to my nutrient-based eating program, the next meal. It's just the next meal, the next meal, the next meal. And it's really about recognizing the emotions that you're triggered, right? You have to slow down and you have to recognize that, one, I'm feeling guilty over a day of eating or a weekend of eating, which from nutritionist standpoint, it's not going to make or break your weight. It's not how our bodies operate. Our bodies are slow and steady. Your metabolism is slow and steady. And that's highly frustrating for us when we want to lose weight, but it also works in our favor when we accidentally gain weight. It's going to recalibrate. Your metabolism kind of has this law of balance. It has a set point. And if you put on a few pounds, your hunger is going to be changed so you're not as hungry, and it's probably going to recalibrate on its own. So let your body do what it does and trust in it, trust in the designer that made it. But also honor, okay, I'm feeling really guilty. Navigate that, right? You got to navigate those emotions that are going to trigger you to have your go-to response, either deprivation and punishment with exercise, or continue down the spiral of shame and coping mechanism with eating, right? So those feelings of self-condemnation based on your eating, those are all lies that you're just believing. They're really just lies. What you eat does not define who you are. You are not what you eat. Like, I know that's what, like, one of those
Yeah.
Freudian people said, you are what you eat. Like, yeah, okay, your body, physically, your body's going to be whatever you put into it. But you are not the eater. Like, your nutrition doesn't define who you are. Anything that you do doesn't define who you are. Right? That's the spiritual side of me talking. So forgive me if
Yes.
you're not
No,
on board with that.
I'm like, speak
Yeah.
it, girl. That's so
Yeah.
true. And that's usually why we go to food, is because something's missing, or where we might be feeling emotional about something. And that
Right.
food is like your little comforter, you know, and it could be
Yeah.
Netflix or it could be food, but usually it's Netflix and food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually you just got to check in with yourself and see what's going on. So I love that so much.
Right.
I want to get back into, I know I teach a little bit. I mean, we were both talking about eating more meals, and I know you said you eat like 5 meals a day. So it's funny because when I talk to my girls about meals, they're like, what do you mean meals? And I'm like, yeah, you can call them snacks if you want to call them snacks. Like, don't freak out. So talk to me about what your strategy is. And then let's say we're with somebody right now that eats 3 meals a day, because probably the average person eats 3 meals a day.
Yeah. It kind of depends on your activity. So here's where I go with all of my girls. And I would say, actually, I used to eat more 5 meals, and my activity is a little bit down because I work, you know, and I travel, and I have a little bit more of a life balance that I have to maintain. When I was working out and teaching classes, I definitely was 5 to 6 meals a day. But now that I'm more sedentary at times, and then it's like 3 or 4. Like, I would say 4 is like my definite. So I believe in eating about every 3 to 5 hours, right? I know that our hormones, which are responsible for our hunger and our satiety, ebb and flow. So there's like a rhythm in everything in life. And it actually coincides largely with your circadian rhythms, which is the term for your sleep and your wake system. So you are probably a morning person if you're a morning person, Mandy, or a night person if you're a night person, Camy. And right, your feeding times fall into rhythm that's largely just behaviorally adapted, right? It's just a habit of yours. Mm-hmm. So if anyone on the call is one of those, I'm not hungry for breakfast, I'm not really that hungry for lunch, and then I eat a huge dinner, that's not ideal for most of our bodies because we're active during the day and then we're more sedentary at night. It's a little bit flip-flop. So your answer is to honestly, I believe the first step is to monitor your eating habits and get really clear on when are you literally really hungry. I think we need to discover what true hunger feels like in our bodies, because as we just talked about, we eat when we want to numb ourselves, we eat just because it's noon, we eat a lot of times not when we are hungry. So I honor those women that say I'm not hungry. Okay, so tell me what it feels like when you are hungry. And once you get clear on what hunger versus cravings are in your body, then I think we can manipulate and we can adapt your body. Your body can learn to get hungry just like it can learn to go to bed earlier and wake up earlier. It will take some practice and it will take some time, but if it's in your best interest and it's going to help your energy, it's going to help your fat loss, if it's going to help your goals, then I think it's well worth taking the time to figure that out. I'm not a person that says you have to eat 5 meals. I don't believe that. I believe you could possibly get away with eating 3 meals and it'd be fine for you, but it matters the portions that you're eating and it matters how much overall food you're getting. If you're going more than 5 hours between meals, I think there's something a little funky with your hormones going on, and we would want to balance your hormones because that's a sign that your metabolism is better balanced as well. So simply practicing eating even just a small meal, if that's all it is a snack, like almonds and an apple, right? As small as that, or like a string cheese and an apple, something with a little bit of protein, something with a little bit of nutrients, nothing too huge in your stomach, or even like a shake or a pressed juice or something. Not coffee, all you, all those fake food items that like make us feel like we're full and we're not. Then try figuring that out. If on that 5-hour mark. But I encourage women to start with like, okay, when am I physically hungry in the morning? What's like, you can even go all the way to feeling like stomach growling.
Mm-hmm.
Then you know for sure you're hungry. That's usually a little bit past the point where you should be eating your meal. If that's like a scale, that would be like a 9 on a scale of 1 to 10. For me, at least an 8 or a 9. You're not all out starving. Like a level 10, but that's like an 8 or a 9. And I believe we should eat our meals when we're at like a 6 or a 7.
Mm-hmm.
So like your food has fully digested, you're ready for the next meal, your blood sugar is dropped just enough, and you can start to feel that and become very in tune with your body. Mm-hmm. And I believe in honoring our own systems and focusing on who we are and our habits. Yeah, and it does matter if you're a morning person or a night person, all that. Your activity levels matter greatly. So when you're working out hard, when you're doing strength training, a few days a week, then you're going to need to eat more often to supply the energy that those workouts need to build the muscle and to build the endurance that your body deserves. Mm-hmm. And you put on more muscle, you have more energy, and you burn more calories, and you can eat more food, and you are leaner. It's a win-win for all of us that love food.
That's what I always tell girls. I'm like, let's build muscle so we can eat more food, because food is awesome.
Yeah, food is awesome.
So speaking of, because we kind of dove into it there a little bit, I want to talk about protein. So tell me, I know you kind of mentioned like protein in every meal, but how important is it to get protein? Is there a certain amount that we should have? Do you use a portion control, or how do you teach integrating protein into meals?
Yeah, I think protein is one of the most important things that you can have in your meal. It's kind of like, it's a really great metabolic food for fat loss purposes. One, it has what's called a thermogenic effect. So that's the TEF. That means that protein, when you eat it, actually burns the most calories. It costs calories to digest our food. Our digestive tract burns calories in order to operate. So all of that costs calories. And protein is one of the more difficult foods to break down. Therefore, it costs the most calories to burn it. But it's actually not that calorie expensive, meaning that there's only 4 calories per gram in the protein that you eat, of pure protein, all protein. So it's the same as carbohydrates, but it acts physiologically very different than carbohydrates and fat do. Another great thing about protein is that it has the greatest satiety effect. So because it takes a little bit longer to break down in our stomach, then it keeps you fuller longer. So having a small meal, if you were the opposite of some of the women you were talking about that aren't hungry, and if you were one of those women that like were hungry all the time and you've been grazing your whole life and you need to kind of space out your meals at least 3 hours apart, in my opinion, protein is going to be in your favor. It's going to keep you fuller longer so that you can go that amount of time without overdoing it and overindulging and kind of using food as like this grazing. It's kind of a coping mechanism. Again, it's a numbing agent if you eat too often all day. So that's a great part. And then what was the third thing? Yeah, satiety and lower calories. So, it's also one of the least fat storing effects. So Metabolic Effect is a company I follow. We've both met Dr. Jay Teta. He's kind of the man. He talks a lot about there's certain foods that are fat storing and there's certain foods that are muscle building, things like that. So sugar spikes your insulin, and insulin usually causes fat to be stored in our bodies. That's why high sugar diets tend to lend itself to more obesity rates, right? The higher obesity, let alone the diabetic epidemic and all of that. Sugar is a culprit of that. Fat is like medium, right? You eat more fat, then it's kind of medium that it would store more fat. It's not as high. But protein doesn't seem to have that same effect where it stores as much fat as the other twos, just because of the different hormones that it spikes. And that's just the physiological response. I could really geek out, but I'm going to just leave it at that. Yeah. So protein to me is great for those 3 reasons, metabolically. I'm not I'm a meat eater. I have certain foods that I love. I'm, I'm all for women that make choices that say they don't like meat. Certain meats are not going to make you feel great, and you need to honor that. I do believe some meats, I'm not huge into red meat anymore. I grew up on it, and it doesn't make me feel great all the time now. So again, it's honoring your body and what your body needs. So vegetarian is certainly possible. Vegan is even possible. It will take a balance and will take certain amino acids and things like that. But to me, the best proteins are eggs. I usually at least do one whole egg and the rest egg whites to get enough protein there. Um, I put dairy back in my life recently. I had gone dairy free because I thought I was having a lot of stomach issues. I'd done like the Whole30 and some elimination diets. But now that I've done so much research on the nutrients that we need, with calcium being one of the most important ones for women especially, I realized there's not that many food sources of calcium outside of dairy. And so I eat and dairy has protein. It's it's another vegetarian. I guess it's from a cow, but you know what I mean. It's another source of protein. I will get it with the lactose-free style, so it still has the whole calcium. Whey also comes from dairy, so anything that would be like a protein shake with whey in it would have that as well. And those are all usually pretty easily digestible proteins. I am an advocate of having red meat at least once or twice a week because you get iron. A lot of women are iron deficient, and they can be anemic, or they can just have low iron, and that affects your energy. So iron sources are not just beef. They could be like bison or buffalo, some red meats and things like that. I'm also a big fan of getting fish, salmon once a week, at least maybe twice a week, to get omega-3s from a whole real food source. And if not, shrimp or mahi-mahi or white fish. So I'm all about like variety. I know it's simple to just kind of eat maybe the same things, but just knowing that you will get a nice variety of the nutrients behind all those foods if you can vary up your sources and get them. Of course, I know money is a factor in all of that, so I don't say it lightly that I know you probably can't just go out and get everything, but I think just being aware of the different varieties and all the options that there are. If you were a vegan or a vegetarian, there's just a need to have a balance of the amino acids. So protein gets broken down into amino acids, and there's 13 essential amino acids that we need from our food, that we need for all systems in our body. So some foods like beans have some amino acids because they have some protein in it, but not all of the complete protein. So you would need to balance that with rice. So they figure that rice and beans in a moderate amount has a complete protein structure when you combine those foods. Quinoa happens to have both or all of the essential amino acids, low on leucine, so it's not quite like a bodybuilder type, but that's important there. And hemp seeds and things like that are some other ways to get a vegan source. And there are plant-based proteins out there that will help you get that balance of amino acids from a variety of sources there.
I love that. And I think it's ideal always to get your nutrients from food sources. But let's say, especially having a family, I know a lot of people are like, well, my family eats this way and I don't want to eat a separate meal from them. So how do you get family on board with trying to eat healthy?
I ninja wife it. So my husband, this is like, I'm seriously going to probably teach a class on this because almost every single one of my clients that is married or even in relationships, they're like, my husband, my boyfriend will not eat that food. They just these men tend to be really stubborn, right? Not that we aren't, hello, we all are, but in different ways. So to me, it's like, I'm a newlywed, so I learned this pretty early on, but it's okay. If we don't eat the same meal, it's okay. You want to have that? Okay. have that. Like, it's his life. We don't
Mm-hmm.
have to do everything the same. And so my husband refuses to eat certain things, and he'll like over exaggerate the nose pinching when I'm making broccoli. And I just laugh at him. I'm like, you aren't going to get to me. I'm not going to let you get to me or to impact my choices. This is my choice for my body. So yeah, your kids are going to be, my stepdaughter Eden, she's 4. She's picky too. You know, it's kind of like that toddler stage, and you kind of just got to work with it the best that you can and catch them doing something right. Right. So when that's my husband right there. Hey,
he heard you.
You don't like veggies?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So when they do eat something that's healthy, make sure you always are like, hey, that's healthy. Good job. You know, whatever way works for your significant other. And then, so it's like giving yourself permission that I don't have to eat what everyone else is eating. We can sit down to the same meal, and yeah, you can have the shake, you can have whatever, but it's like, that doesn't have to be the expectation that you set on yourself. You really just have to give yourself permission to let go of that idealistic, we're the perfect family, we all like to eat the same things and no one has issues, not reality. So yeah, I learned the term ninja wife from our couples counselor, and I do it all the time. It's like, you're not going to get to me. Oh, I'm just going to laugh at you instead of like get offended that you're talking about my healthy food. Because people love, not just your families in your household, your coworkers love to talk about what you're eating. People always love to point it out. And you cannot let that get to you. You have to have this Teflon wall. You're not going to let them in, because that's just, there's so much energy and emotion wasted on caring what other people think about your eating. Like, you have to like it. That's it. Party of one is your tongue and your body, and that's it. That's all that matters.
Oh,
and the rest of it, the rest of it is just like, okay, enjoy your cereal, you know? Enjoy it. I hope you really like it.
Yeah. I love that. That's such a good point. Because I know it's hard now, coming from a time when I felt deprived and I was eating out of my Tupperware is a different situation, right? Because I was like eating cold tilapia and I hated it, and I resisted everybody who was eating good Filipino food around me. So you do have to like what you eat, and then you can be like, no, this is awesome. I'm excited to eat this. Like, do you know what this is? And you're actually fulfilled in what you're eating. I feel that way when I have my shakes. So when you went back to the veggie thing, I was like, you know what? I get my veggies in. And the reason I do is because I do a scoop of fruits, a scoop of greens, a scoop of adaptogens in my shake. And I will a lot of times, a little bit because I'm lazy, and mostly because it just makes me feel so darn good, I will just do that for my breakfast, or sometimes I'll just do that for my dinner. Because when I do it, I feel so freaking awesome. And it's weird to just like drink a shake for dinner, or like, you know, just like people could be like, what are you drinking? It looks disgusting. I'm like, yeah, it does look disgusting, but it's amazing. And I have such good energy when I do it. So
as long as you love it.
Yeah.
Who cares? As long as you like it, then who cares?
Yeah. Right. I love that. Now, finding what you like is probably a navigation process that you've got to figure out.
Right. Healthy foods that you like. And that's where we go back to that next best step, right? You don't have to start off having a shake if you're not like there yet, or, you know, shake for dinner type of thing. You can have a shake and then your bowl of cereal, like whatever it is. Like maybe you just start moderating some steps in that general direction. And you have to learn. It's not that you're bad at eating healthy. You just haven't learned it yet. So you have to give yourself process and time to really learn. And these habits, so I learned this from Dr. Caroline Leaf, which transformed my whole coaching principle. Because I used to be one of those coaches that's like, here's your meal plan. Follow this exactly for the rest of your life, you know? Or like, here, you should do this in step 1 and step 2 and step 7. There you go. Have everything. And I found out that's like, 1, it takes 21 days to just form a memory. And 2, it takes 63 days to actually implement that new lesson that you learned into a habit where you don't have to think about it so hard. Like it takes 2 months of practicing something before you really have it down. So you need to give yourself like that time and that space and that grace to like learn that and adapt that and figure that part out. That's really, really important that you understand the timeline. But if you think about it, 2 months might seem like a long time, but it also might be like, oh, now I have this down and I don't have to like relearn it ever again.
Yeah.
It's kind of like not that long when you think about the lifestyle and the lifelong journey that we're on.
I love that. And I want to recognize it, actually, the women who did the Better Method, because it's 2 months, it's 8 weeks. And they really committed to not dieting. And they really committed to, we're going to learn one thing each week and we're just going to focus on that. And we're just going to do the best we can do. And I just think that's phenomenal because a lot of women are not in that headspace yet.
Yep.
Say, okay, I'm going to stop jumping from meal plan to meal plan. And I'm actually going to take responsibility and start to learn for myself what's going to work for me and stop listening to what everybody's telling me, right? Like,
stop listening to noise. Yeah. You really have to just focus on like, I recommend for your girls to just listen to you, right? Like, I know I have things and you're probably like, oh, maybe I should do all this. And it's like, no, just listen to Camy for a while. Like really, 8 weeks is all Camy, one coach at a time. That's all you really need.
Yeah.
One coach at a time. Learn from her. Take yourself into accountability, right? It's not like you're doing everything she says. It's that you're testing it on yourself as she is your guide, but it's really, you are taking ownership of this experience for yourself. Learn it, adapt to it, take what works for you, perfect it, master it. It's all about mastering skills here. And then move on. Then you'll have the next step and you'll feel so good because you're building a strong foundation of health for the rest of your life. This could be something you fall back to forever. And it's really, really good that we can get into that headspace of it because it's hard. It's challenging for a lot of us that we're on like the 21-day fix type thing, like doesn't really fix anything, does it?
Because then you're on to the next thing after that 20 days and the next thing.
Right.
And I really want to recognize you for being here too as well. I want to kind of close it down to respect your time. But is there anything else you want to add at the end? I definitely want them to know where to find you. If you have anything cool going on, I want to know. And then also really honor the girls that are working with you because you have a 6-month program. And it's more nutrition. It's like spiritual. It's like deep stuff. So I want to honor your girls as well.
Yeah, they're amazing. And I always prayed that I would just get the right fit. We always pray for like these ideal clients because it's so a mutual thing. It's never just about us giving. It's about what we get out of it. And we learn so much from each of our clients. So yeah, I do have something that's called the Her Health Lounge. It's an online portal, 6-month, 26-week process. We do 8 weeks on your body's health. So 4 weeks on nutrition, 4 weeks on fitness. And I do since I'm a CSCS, I do a stronger fitness and mobility program with that through 5 phases. It's a periodized program. I'm big into resistance training and walking and general movement and mobility. I do 8 weeks on mindset of health. So I love talking about all the facets of that. And then 8 weeks on spiritual health and becoming spirit strong. So that is usually only offered like once a year, and I just offered it. But I am going to be doing some small bit classes, and I'm actually going to do a 21-day challenge right before Thanksgiving. So if any of the girls would be interested in doing an additional challenge, I think it's going to start November 5th, and it's going to be the 21 days that lead up to Thanksgiving. And I have an app. So I just added an app to my, I found it's a user app called Get PT Fit, but I've loaded all of my exercises and fitness videos on there for all levels. So level 1 is like a body weight. I have a level 1 that's machines at the gym if you're interested in that. I have level 2, which is all dumbbell exercises, and then level 3, which is barbell and more advanced, which I would just want to have a conversation. But it's not just about exercise. It's actually about living gratefully in your health. It's a living gratitude, right? So we are honored to have the bodies that we have. And I know it's hard when we feel like all we see in the mirror is flaws. So it's really a mindset change. It's really a spiritual change that we need to live thankfully and honor our bodies and exercise because we're thankful for the body that we have, not that we're punishing it or that we're just trying to get to some end result and some size in the future. So I'm going to do like a morning devotional, and it's going to be an alignment devotional. So as you do it, you're actually going to be in alignment poses on the ground and like getting your back and your hips open and all that stuff. But like you can start to feel, just getting up in the morning can be painful sometimes depending on our age, right? So I just combined like my love of mobility and alignment exercises with, the morning quiet time. So that's going to be on the app, and it's going to just be for 21 days for like a small fee, $21.
I'm
around
gonna
that.
be there.
Yeah.
You're like,
okay,
I'll be there. And how are they going to find that? Do they go to your website or do they go to Facebook or?
Yeah, I just started. I don't have the list down, but you can go to my Bitly. You can subscribe to my my tribe, which is like my emails, and it's going to be given on that. So if you go to bit.ly/a-right-fit-tribe, I believe that's right. I'll send you the link and maybe you can email it to your girls if they want to sign up for my emails, and then I'm going to be circulating that in October. Yeah.
Yes. I'm so excited.
I know. It'll be great.
That is so cool. That's right up my alley. And I think my girls would like it too. So I'll definitely share that. Once we get the link out, we'll post it up with this, and we'll make sure that the link goes in the bottom of this video.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. So we can find you on social media. Facebook.
Facebook. Yep. A Right Fit Facebook. And it's a period Right Fit. So Amanda Wright Fit. And Wright is with the W. Instagram, I also have Fit Faith Movement is an Instagram handle where I just promote anyone that's fit and faith-based. I promoted Camy a handful of times. Just the network of women that I just want to always lift up because we're not in competition. We all can get all of the glory and fulfill our own callings. So there's that. I'm on Twitter. I don't really do much Twitter, but Right Fit Inc. is my Twitter handle. But I'm on Snapchat.
Ooh.
I love
Have you been snapping?
Snapchat. Yeah.
Okay.
I like that one the best. That's the one where you get the most of my personality.
Yeah.
Because I think I can get all like Jesus-y sometimes, which is like true. That's like me. But I can be like silly and more goofy in my Snapchat. So I do.
Yeah, I like Snapchat for that because you don't feel so much pressure to make it perfect. You're just like, oh, whatever. You just take a picture of whatever. So I love it too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
So, thanks, Cam. This is awesome.
Thank you. This was really, really cool. So I'll post this up and I'll give you the link so you can share it with your people as soon as the recording is done. But I love you so much. This was so fun. Thank you for being on and giving us your time. I really appreciate it. And I know
anytime.
You gave so much info. So I know people are going to watch this and take notes and they're like, oh my gosh, she's so smart. So,
I just like spout it out.
Yeah.
Don't get overwhelmed. Don't get overwhelmed.
You're studying right now. Cause I'm like, she's just rattling things off like da, 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 da. So I love it.
I like to geek out. I like to geek out on nutrition.
I love it too. It's amazing. And so hopefully they can just take a piece of wherever they're at and use it. That's all I want. And then of course they can listen to it later and they might be at a different spot.
Another piece. Exactly. We're on board.
We got it.
All right.
All right, girl.
Thanks everyone. Nice to meet you.
Appreciate you. All right.
Bye.
Bye.